Well, I'm sad to say this is the end of the scavenger hunt. And today we're going, or right now we're going to be looking at textures and how to find them in your picture or photograph. Sorry about that. I'm using the wrong arrow. So when I think of texture, I know that there are acrylic paintings that are you can just without touching them tell they're more than two-dimensional. They're three-dimensional. The paint sticks out and you want to touch it. That's just what you want to do. But there are other things that have texture. You could see a picture with hair. We talk about the texture of our hair. Sometimes people have very fine hair, some have very coarse hair, and some have no hair. So I guess that their texture would be a smooth head. But and really, I mean that's a truth. As some people, I had a hairdresser, gosh, I was thinking it must have been 30 years ago. He said, I had this client who came in and he said she had horrible hair. And she told me once, she says, I'm not very good looking. I don't dress well, but the only good thing about me is my hair. And he said, I could have sworn I was combing a horse's tail. So some of us have difference of that. We have different textures in the cloth that we wear. Seersucker is kind of a puffy one. If you have anything smocked, that's got its own texture. Jeans have their own texture. Some people like very smooth ones. Some like them to be rough and torn up and all of that. So they're just, even the furniture that you buy. There are some chairs I don't like to sit in because they're scratchy. The upholstery is very harsh to my skin. And so that's what we're talking about with texture, but applying that to a picture, photograph, sometimes is challenging. And that's the case with this one. What I did, I acted like this was a painting, and you paint on a palette. And I said, really, all of this grass, there's a little bit of roughness there, I guess. And this, the concrete, they're smooth. So it's like all of this is painted on a smooth palette. Half of it, well, three-quarters of it probably is grass, and one quarter of it is smooth concrete. And I started thinking, well, okay, what else has texture? Well, this man has got, or young man, I presume that these are all students. They look like they are, but they could be people's parents. I don't know who have arrived on scene. Closely cropped curly hair. And this appears to be a girl with wavy hair. This is a curly haired person. This girl is wearing her short. I don't think we had man bags back then, but we might have. But most guys don't wear their this like that. But I don't know. Maybe a girl, maybe a boy. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the smooth grass and the smoothness there. That's the texture. Then I looked at this guy's hair, and honestly, most of the guys who went to TJ with me, that's what their hair looked like. I mean, that's identical. Most of them had thick hair. It was long hair, about to their shoulders, and it also was, yeah, long. It was long, and it was usually straight because the longer your hair is, the straighter it makes it. Have you ever noticed that when you cut it? It starts getting curly again. Or at least that's the way it is. It was with me, and it still is with me, believe it or not. Okay, then I noticed that this texture of his little holes in his pocket, I sure hope he doesn't put his billfold back there, because he's bound to lose it. That's rough texture there, the jaggedness, and it's just the tears and all of that. Now, this guy has, and I'm presuming it's a guy. I know that you're looking at those boots and you're saying, well, that's a girl. Not necessarily. Guys wore boots like that back then. The Beatles made it very, very popular. Of course, in 1970, they had already broken up, or they broke up in 1970. So this probably is a guy who I would think is dressed very well. He's got a smooth leather jacket on, and that's texture. I can't tell if he's got a muffler on or what is over there. Then I noticed that really the only thing that's kind of rumpled and creased is the boy who was shot. His jacket's rumpled. I mean, he got shot. What do you expect? His pants are creased. Again, you know, he's not standing up. He's dead. So it looks like he's kind of out of place with everybody else, which he is. So those are the textures I picked out, and like shapes, it wasn't one of my favorites. Okay, but I still did what I was supposed to do. And this is what I wrote. This photograph is taken on a smooth palette of grass and concrete. Now notice I'm using these texture words. The young man who is to the kneeling girl's left is wearing a jacket made of smooth leather, but the man behind him is wearing rough, torn blue jeans. The hairstyles that depict the popular trend of the 1970s show closely cropped curly hair on one man and long, thick, and straight hair on another. The girl at the center of the picture sports long, straight hair that flips up at the end, another popular trend of the day. In the photo's forefront, a rumpled jacket and creased trousers, see, those are part of texture, of the shooting victim are the only things that suggest that something is wrong. So that's what my texture paragraph looks like. Now, the next one that I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of these together on Microsoft Word, and we're going to pick whichever ones we think are the best. And that's what you will do. Now, let me just tell you, I know what you're saying. I'd be saying the same thing. I mean, does this professor really expect, I'm trying to go back here. Here we go. No, here, hold on a minute. Does this professor really expect me to do all of this stuff? And this is one of the least complicated. No, I don't. I just had to do it to show you. What if I were you, I would have the picture up in a piece of notebook paper and go through each one of these and show where I can find them. And then you're going to pick out 3 of these 5 elements to use on your observations in your photo analysis. And that is it for all of the elements, the 5 elements in a photo analysis.